So the next time your business is going through a tough time, please remember this conversation, that it could be that one next try that could actually open up the opportunity for you. Many people, and I'm sure Washeke will be sharing her story here, many people who have been successful, many businesses that have succeeded, have gone through countless numbers of rejection before they got to a point where they actually made a breakthrough. Now, I worked in Safaricom when M-Pesa was M-Pesa. Yeah? And I happened to join at the time when Kenyans were very skeptical around that product. And when I didn't join Safaricom directly, I was working for a below-the-line agency that was contracted by Safaricom to sell that agency business to agents. Now we have more than 100,000 agents across the country. That time we would be counting. There are 2. Next week we go and report. They have grown to 4. It was a very interesting journey. And you would approach, because the model was that M-Pesa agents should not exist in isolation. They should be a supplementary business to an existing business. So what we used to do is we would approach a business person who has an established business and convince them to take on board that service, yeah, as a supplementing business. It was very interesting, the responses that we get from entrepreneurs. And I like the conversation here with the panelists, because it actually covers the bigger component of my content this morning, to say that as a business, you have to be ready to take risks. You have to be ready to take risks. For those who took risks at that time, they have been very successful. Before everyone wanted to go into that business, like, you remember the quail business? You remember the quail business? Anyone who tried the quail business here? Yeah? You hear that people are making a lot of money from selling quail eggs, and everyone wants to run there. You know, even that business I spoke about got to that point where everybody wanted to have that service at their shop. And when that happened, the commissions began to reduce, and you know, it was not as lucrative as it was when we first began. So what am I saying in that point? That as a business, you need to be on the lookout for new opportunities. You need to be on the lookout for new opportunities. You could be having a very solid revenue driver today, yeah? But the dynamics in the market could be directing you or pointing you towards a certain shift that is happening in your space. You need to have your antennas up to be able to tap into those opportunities, so that when the market shifts, you're not left. I'll give you an example of Kodak. I don't know if you guys existed in the times of Kodak. Some of you are digital generation, so you didn't encounter Kodak. You came when you could take photos with your phone. Yeah. Us guys, we would take photos with a Kodak, film, a roll, and you'd go filler. Yeah. You go and buy a roll, and then after you've taken photos, it's taken to the studios. It has to be washed. You get a film, then you get photos, yeah? And that business was a good business at that time. But in the entry of technology, they were disrupted. In a wake of a moment, they just lost everything, because people did not need to buy films anymore. They can take photos with their phones. Yeah, they can buy digital cameras where they can take photos and upload on social networks in an instant, without necessarily going to any workshop to wash the films. Yeah, and that is a reality in our world today. So be cognizant of what are the changes happening in your industry, and if you're not disrupting, you will be disrupted. Good. So much about the introduction. I want to give you a principles that I have learned over those many years on selling. And then we spoke about closing a lead, and someone mentioned here, and that's why I said the conversations here really captured the substance of my content. And then I'll talk about closing a lead, and then I'll share 7 tips for you to grow your business, and then I'll sit. Are we together? Okay, so some simple principles, if you can put my presentation up, on selling. Simple principles. Read textbooks, listen to content on the videos, you will see the same process. As a business, and someone said, and I think this is also one of the things that are taught in the entrepreneurship class, that you need to package your business in one page. When you're given an opportunity, to sell what it is that you want to do, are you able to articulate it in 1 minute? If you can't articulate it in 1 minute, go back to the drawing board. It is very important for you to be very clear about your vision. What is your business about? It is very important. Let me ask you an example. What is Safaricom about? Anybody? Communication. Someone is saying communication. Changing lives. They actually capture it in a sentence that says, transforming people's lives. That is what we are all about. Communication is a way to getting it there. What is Centonomy about? Shifting people's mindset? Someone else? What is Centonomy about? Why are you here? To help people to create wealth and live abundantly. In a sentence, can you capture your business? When you are very clear about your vision, because it is from that, then you go into the next stage where you say, then what do I need to be able to achieve my vision as a business? And you go into the sales strategy. And when you're setting your sales strategy, you have to think abundance. Why? Because when you're developing your sales strategy, you project in the next 2 years, in the next 1 year, what is it that I want to achieve as a business? So you could say, I want to build a $5 million business in the next 5 years. That can only be informed by your vision, right? So once you have clarity in your vision, then you go down to setting up a sales strategy. That is basic principles of sales. Then you say, in the next 5 years, I want to have 5 billion worth of revenue. Yeah? Then you say, therefore, if I'm to have 5 billion worth of revenue in the next 5 years, how much should I sell every year? You begin to work backwards. Break it down. So that means every year you need to be selling what? 1 billion. Is that correct? Break that 1 billion further. How much do you need to be selling per month? So you divide that 1 billion by 12 months. Break it down further. How much do you need to be selling per week? If you work 5 days in a week, then you count 5 times 4, which is 20 days in a month. Break down the monthly target into days. And then now you go into hours. For me to be able to hit my daily, what do I need to be doing every hour? If you're not clear on that, then you will have a challenge with achieving your sales target. Because every minute counts. Every minute counts. So if you're not doing something that is going to help you to achieve your daily target, as you wake up in the morning, as you go by your day, then you would have challenges hitting your sales targets at the end of the day. And an example I'll give is, so when we do those sales for M-Pesa, what we used to do is, when you have established that this is the monthly target, this is how I'm going to achieve it. Initially, we used to, so you'd find an agent that you set up yesterday did only 2 transactions. 2, a deposit and a withdrawal. Yeah? And then you're told you need to ensure that that agent is doing 100 transactions a day. From 2 transactions to 100 transactions. That means you need to encourage that agent to work on a sales drive to recruit more customers. So the agent has to be involved in recruiting registrations for M-Pesa for him to be able to do 100 transactions. So you work on a plan and initiate an agent-driven activation within their locality, where then you'll be able to get more people registered on M-Pesa. And within no time, you begin to hit the 100 registrations in a day. And that kept growing, So initially when we were starting, we used to visit 3 agents in a day. The sales targets were grown. We're told you need to hit 20 agents per day. By the time I was leaving that BTL agency, we would visit 30 agents per day. It was unimaginable when we began that you can visit 30 agents, pick the records of the transactions they're doing, pick the learnings that they're getting, and develop a report at the end of the day. The reason why I'm sharing that example is to show you that, number one, you have to record the output of the activities that you're doing that should be contributing to your sales. Number 2, pick learnings. Ask yourself 2 questions. What did I do well today? And then the second question you ask yourself is, what can I do better tomorrow? And then you go back to your itinerary. Your itinerary is the sales roadmap to say, on Monday I'll sell to these people. On Tuesday I'll sell to these people. On Wednesday I'll sell to these people. That means every day you have to do an evaluation to say, today I visited Sheba. This is what she's doing. This is the feedback she gave me. This is the learning I got. When I'm going to visit Washeke tomorrow, I need to carry these learnings with me. Continuously that way, you begin to grow your sales. So basically, that is what I've explained, and that is borrowed principally from the basic principle of selling. Closing on your leads. It is very important for you to strike when your lead is hot. Someone said, when you get a request, you need to have responded in 5 minutes. You know why? Because people don't request for services from one supplier. They request for from 3 to 4, and the person who responds the fastest, so they look at your agility, your ability to respond to queries fast. They look at the offering, of course, that you have given, and they look at your pricing to determine, is this value for money, before they can pick you. But you know you have an advantage if you did your response very swiftly. And that goes back to tell you, if you haven't defined what your business is about, you will struggle to respond when a client reaches out to you, because you're not even clear what it is that you're doing. But if it is something that you have clarified in your mind, you're very clear about your pricing, you're very clear about what it is that you're doing, then when a customer reaches out to you to ask, I'm looking for this service, you will be very quickly be able to pull out that information and send to your customer. And that gives you an edge in this digital age, in this digital era. Yeah? So respond to prospects, to your customer, to your prospecting clients pretty fast. You need to move with speed. And then the other thing is, if a customer asks, gives you an opportunity to pitch your business. Always have an ending clause, and your ending clause should always request for business. There are many times when you go and pitch for a business and you do not ask for a business, yet you went to look for business. So you go and do a very beautiful presentation, and at the end of the day, you don't tell the customer that I'm actually extending a hand. I want to do business with you. And if the customer tells you, give me time to think about it, don't stop there. Ask the question, what will it take for you to do business with me? And if the customer gives you that feedback, then it helps you to anticipate in your next presentation what are some of the things that you need to address in your pitch. Are we good? So that is about the sales process and closing on a lead. Now let me share my lesson. 7 tips that would help you to grow your business. Next slide. The best way to predict the future is to create it. So we said that you need to be positive. And this is where I borrow the quotes of Washeke a lot on thinking about abundance. Because you cannot do sales projections if you're not thinking abundance. You need to think that there's a lot out there that you can get for you to be able to develop a sales strategy in the first place. So you have to create the future you want. If you want to be a $5 billion business, go for it and be ambitious. Don't limit yourself because of the sales you got last year. So that is the first point. Please click on the next one. So be ambitious. Then number 2, invest more time with your customers. Let me tell you the truth. It is the customers who will define the future model of your business. If you listen to the feedback they are giving, then you will be able to ensure that you solution for them. And one thing you need to remember, it is very important for you to keep learning. You need to keep learning. And the best people to teach you are your customers. So when you get customer compliments, don't ignore them. Use those compliments to improve your business. Use those compliments to improve your business. So invest more time. Go out there. Listen to your customers. I like those people who are doing online business. I know there are online models where you can be able to get online feedback. But I also encourage you sometimes to step out of your comfort zone, from the comfort of your office where you've set up your digital shop, and just go and see what are those guys saying about your business, so that you can be able to anticipate the changes that will come and you prepare adequately. One of the things I've learned in over time in career, even when you're developing a presentation that you want an approval for, the best thing for you to do is to anticipate the roadblocks and provide for them. So you anticipate this one could be a potential roadblock, and then you plan. You say, if this comes, this is how I'm going to tackle it. This one could be a potential roadblock. If it comes, this is how I'm going to tackle it. That is very important because it helps you to be very prepared even before for your presentation. Let's go to the next slide. Branding. I don't think I can say enough. Tonke talked about visibility. If people don't know you exist, they are not going to buy you. They are not going to consider you. You have to be visible. And therefore, if you don't have visibility out there, and you need to be very conscious about it. How do you want to be seen? How do you want your business to be seen? And then you position it that way. And make sure that you're consistent. One interesting thing that you will notice is if you lack consistency, you will look like a very disorganized brand. And an example I'll give you is if for instance you're doing physical branding of a store that you have. Maybe you have salons like GK, and you have two salons, and one signage of a salon looks a different shade than the signage of another salon, what does that do to you? It affects the credibility of your brand. So you need to be conscious about the decisions you make, the choice of your suppliers, to make sure that you're getting quality that will not compromise on your branding. Let me ask you a question. How many people in this room know about iPhone? Know about iPhone? iPhone. Apple. How many people know about iPhone? Okay. How many times has Apple advertised in this country? Have they ever advertised in this country? Okay. What is the best watch in the world? Rolex? Has Rolex ever advertised in our market? How do you know about Rolex? How do you know about Rolex? Branding is powerful. Branding is powerful because if you have the right branding, if you have the right positioning, you create ambassadors for your brand. People will talk about your brand. People will say, I have the most expensive watch in the world, and my watch is Rolex. And when other people hear about that, they will, let me tell you, the most powerful tool in marketing is word of mouth. Not advertising. Advertising works. It gives your brand impact and presence, and it is a good thing. But the most powerful advertising tool or marketing tool is word of mouth. Then next, think about these four C's. Think solutions, not products. Think value, not price. Think convenience, not place. And that's where now I really admire those guys who are doing business online, because customers they don't care where your shop is. What they care is, when I need that product, is it available for me? Yeah? Then conversations, not promotions. Customers are so much aware. They don't want you to promote products to them. They want you to have conversations with them. Yeah? Next slide quickly as I finish. Your environment. Next. Your environment. You have to be cognizant of your environment. Now I'll give you an example. In the next 2 years, we'll be having elections, right? What impact will that have on your business? You can't be working and there's a pit here, and you're saying things are very good, and you will get into that pit. So as a business, you have to begin to anticipate. So elections are coming. What does that mean for my business? Will I be able to stay afloat? Will I be able to pay my employees when that time comes? And you make sure that you plan adequately. Then remember, it's about people. And you have to also minimize your costs. Cut unnecessary costs so that you improve on your profitability. And lastly, never stop learning. And that goes into always innovate. Thank you very much.